The Five Nights at Freddy 2 mod just dropped a couple of days ago, and in this video, I want to explain why boyfriend and girlfriend are in this situation where they have to face against these animatronics, and I also want to give you the backstory of each of the animatronics that we see pop up in the mod. Now, as far as boyfriend and girlfriend go, they actually broke into the pizzeria because they thought that there would be somebody there to serve them after hours, which of course there isn't, but boyfriend and girlfriend are not the two smartest characters, so nobody should be surprised on that. Now, of course, the bigger mistake that they made is that they broke into a very specific pizzeria, and this is the Five Nights at Freddy's pizzeria. And that is when boyfriend and girlfriend actually run into Toy Freddy, which in all honesty is definitely not the worst animatronic that they could have run into first. Now, with that being said, Toy Freddy is a major antagonist in the Five Nights at Freddy's series, first appearing in the Five Nights at Freddy's 2. And he's basically a upgraded version of Freddy, and he served as the mascot of the newly rebuilt Freddy Fazbear Pizza of 1987. Now, for those of you that don't know, after the pizzeria was actually opened only for a few short weeks, it then actually had to close down, and that's because the owners thought that Toy Freddy and the rest of the toy animatronics were actually malfunctioning, so they ended up being scrapped. With that being said, Scott does give us some details about Toy Freddy's personality, and he basically describes him as being private and reclusive. And from my experience actually playing through the games, Toy Freddy also seems to be very childish. The Friday Night Funkin mod does a great job of showing this with Mr. Hug's song. And this is basically taken straight from the lore, specifically the Ultimate Custom Night game. And just like we see in the mod, when Toy Freddy loses, he has a slight tantrum and he starts stomping off. But I have to mention here as well that Toy Freddy is actually friendly towards the actual player, unlike some of the other animatronics, and he won't harm them for the most part. But since he is very childish, there are some things that can actually get him riled up. Something I find funny about his character is that he's apparently very bad at making friends, so while he isn't innately bad, he believes that taunting and teasing is the way to make friends, which makes him a bit annoying in my opinion. The next character that we see in this mod is Toy Bonnie, and just like Toy Freddy, Toy Bonnie is basically like the new and improved version of Bonnie, and we actually get to see Withered Bonnie in this mod and see why he definitely needed to be replaced. Now, what I really find interesting about Bonnie here is that we also get to see Shadow Bonnie come from behind him, and this one is interesting because he is one of the two mysterious shadow animatronics first introduced in the Five Nights at Freddy's 2. And Shadow Bonnie is actually like a super rare Easter egg from FNAF2, and there are only like a 1 out of a million chance of encountering him or some crazy odds. And if you do actually find him, there's a mechanic where you have to put on a mask or you have to go to the camera to get rid of him, and if you don't, he'll basically crash your game. Even though we don't know a whole lot about Shadow Bonnie, he does appear in like FNAF 3, the Ultimate Custom Night, and I'm pretty sure he appears in Special Delivery as well. He's a pretty popular character. Next up on our list is Toy Chica, and of course she's the new and improved version of Chica, basically becoming a new backup singer in the Ultimate Custom Night and Five Nights at Freddy's Special Delivery. Now, what I find interesting about Chica is that she's shown to be kind of sadistic, very psychotic, and really just bloodthirsty. And funny enough, she's also comes off as being kind of sassy. But the scary thing about her is that she doesn't really feel remorse for any of the things that she does, even if she unalives the player. The next character that we have on this list is going to be Mangle, and Mangle basically acts as like the redesigned version of Foxy. But something interesting here is that Mangle, as you can tell, is in just a terrible condition, heavily damaged. And we can actually see in certain games like Ultimate Custom Night that Mangle is actually aware of the fact that they are severely damaged, and in Special Delivery, it appears that they have multiple personalities inhabiting them. Now, I found this interesting because as those personalities change, the pitch of Foxy's voice or Mangle's voice actually changes as well. This is why Mangle doesn't really have a gender. Their voice reflects the gender of whatever personality they've taken at the time. And a sad fact about Mangle is that as their body continues to fall apart, they fall deeper into insanity. Now, what many people actually don't know is how Mangle ended up getting into this terrible condition. And basically, back in the day, Mangle was exposed to little kids, aka toddlers, who would constantly rip him apart. And this, of course, would force the staff to reassemble them after every shift. Eventually, the staff got tired of doing that, and they just made it to where he was a take apart and put together attraction, meaning that kids can just come in and take him apart and put them back together as they saw fit. And that is how Mangle actually ended up getting the name and why he's in such a terrible condition. Next, we're going to start talking about some of the Withered characters, starting out with Withered Freddy, and he's basically the older, withered version of Freddy. He, along with the 4 other older animatronics, have all fallen into severe disrepair and have all been replaced with the new toy versions of themselves. Now, apparently Withered Freddy has gone through an attempted retrofit but was left unfinished after the management chose Toy Freddy, and the story is pretty much the same for the other animatronics. And as far as their personality goes, Withered Freddy is actually openly malicious, taunting, and he loves to scare his victims, and he comes off more like a demented child and less like a trickster like Toy Freddy. So if you had to choose which one to run into, Toy Freddy is definitely the better bet because at least he's kinda good, while Withered Freddy is a bit more on the evil side. Next on our list, we have Withered Bonnie, and one huge note that I want to point out is that he is the animatronic that is in the most horrid state. They do a good job in this mod of showing how the upper half of his face is just completely gone. Next, we have Withered Chica, and the most interesting fact about her is that she seems to be fully aware of how broken she is. Some of her voice lines from the FNAF games also implies that she is the first child victim. And one wholesome fact here is that Chica actually retains her love of food. This is why in the actual game, the player can avoid Chica while she's in the kitchen because her love of food seems to be stronger than her bloodlust. I also think that her gluttonous ways are the reason that she has an extra set of teeth, or as some people say, like an extra mouth. Next, we have Withered Foxy, and he's the most interesting to me because he's taken far less damage than both Chica and Bonnie, and this may be due to the fact that he's considered to be reclusive. A fact that scares me about this character though is that he is described as being a bit twitchy, which is just a nice way of saying that he will try to take you out. Foxy is also scary because he seems to be the most perceptive and the hardest to trick out of all the animatronics, minus the puppet. He also seems to take pleasure in causing people pain. And even though in the Friday Night Funkin' mod, we see that Boyfriend is able to run away from Foxy fairly easily, but I do think the mod did a good job of just showing how vicious Foxy is. And the only reason that Boyfriend really gets away is because of course he has plot armor, right? Of course he's gonna get away. Now, since we just mentioned her, let's go ahead and talk about the puppet next, who, funny enough, is an animatronic puppet. I believe she served as the prize vendor of the newly built Freddy Fazbear Pizza of 1987. And something interesting about the puppet is that after the pizzeria was closed down, the puppet was not scrapped like the other animatronics. We even see the puppet pop up in a new pizzeria from the first game and appearing as Lefty in Freddy Fazbear Pizzeria Simulator. A sad fact about the puppet is that it was haunted by William Afton's first victim, who is named Charlotte Emily, and this is the daughter of Henry Emily, and the puppet is seemingly a vengeful and sadistic type of spirit, claiming to be very aware. Even Phone Guy states that it's always thinking. Now, despite this fact though, the puppet doesn't seem to harbor any resentment against anybody it deems a threat, claiming they just need to stay out of its way. Though if you played the Ultimate Custom Night, the puppet does display some evil tendencies towards the player. The most interesting fact about the puppet though is that she acts as a sort of protector for the other animatronics because she is the only one that has retained her intelligence, while the other animatronics act more like animals. It's also a really sad fact when you remember that she is technically a little girl. Next in the mod, we have Balloon Boy, and he is basically like a human childlike animatronic, and he serves as like the balloon bender for the Freddy Fazbear Pizzeria. Now, we don't know much about Balloon Boy, but based on a few lines that we actually get in his behavior, we can deduce that he was a kind of prankster and loves to cause a little bit of trouble for the player. The next character on our list is Golden Freddy, and while he is kind of a mystery to me, I do have some theories about his character. The theory I like best about Golden Freddy is the one that says that he was the 5th child to be unalived in the series, but unlike the other children, he never actually accepted his death, and that's why he became like this vengeful spirit, aka the Golden Freddy. And a lot of people pointed out this is why Golden Freddy doesn't sound like an animatronic, but more like an actual human being, and also why he can actually go through walls and like fly and stuff like that. Now, I don't know if this is actually true because, as I said, his character is very much a mystery, but that's the theory that I have for him now. Put your thoughts down in the comments if you made it this far into the video. The last character that we're going to talk about on our list is going to be Shadow Freddy, and he's basically like a mysterious shadow variant of Freddy Fazbear, and he appears in the Five Nights at Freddy's series, specifically FNAF2. Shadow Freddy is actually a lot like Shadow Bonnie in the sense that we don't know a whole lot about him. As of right now, all we know about his personality is that he comes off as being very mysterious and dark, but not necessarily evil. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out this video here, leave a comment, and we'll see you tomorrow with another video. Peace, peace.